got stress, cause we're striving, surviving, keep on moving to improving, rearranging the whole world change.
Welcome to Minding the Gap, YouTube video and podcast presentation from Behavioral Sciences of Alabama. I'm Paul Bakke, licensed counselor with Behavioral Sciences, and alongside David Barnhart, also an LPC. Welcome to Minding the Gap once again. Again, we're on an episode.
We are on an episode, yes.
We're participating in an episode, which makes me feel like I've somehow arrived at some level of goodness.
Truly. And hopefully it will be an episode that people will get something out of.
I hope so too. Today's episode is going to be about relationship OCD. So why don't you talk a little bit about what that is? Relationship
OCD. So there are essentially a couple of types of relationship OCD. And OCD, when we talk about symptoms, can, as you know, encompass a lot of different things. I've never met anybody that just has one aspect of OCD. I'm just a contamination. I have a lot of contamination fear. That's the only OCD I've got. No. It extends across other areas. But relationship OCD takes one of two forms. One is kind of relationship centered. So the person is asking themselves about, well, is this the right person? Am I making the right choice? So it's more about the rightness, and so they might find themselves thinking, well, do I really love them? Or do they love me? Am I just going along with this because friends and family all expect me to find somebody that I love and live happily ever after? Does this person really love me? All right.
So there's some level of uncertainty that it's unknown, and it could be this, and it could be that, and it could be this, and it could be that.
Yes.
To equal out to right. Is this right?
That's right.
Okay.
So, and you could see compulsions coming out of something like that, where the person continually tries to check it, to see.
Check and analyze it.
Yes. Run it through their head, or ask their partner, do you love me? How do you know that you do? Or to see something as a test. Well, if she really loved me, she would have been on time for dinner. All right, so anyhow, relationship centered.
I guess that means I don't love anybody.
I know, you're always late, Paul. I've been meaning to talk to you about this. This is the best way I could think to bring it up. Okay. Okay, so then there's also partner-focused relationship OCD. And in this case, it's features. So it can be personality features or physical features. Her nose seems a little large to me, or other qualities, not ambitious enough, not as moral as I am, intelligence, emotional stability. I mean, the list goes on and on. So you can think of just about any kind of a characteristic that you might value, right? So people with OCD have things that they highly value, as all of us do, and those things become the subject matter of OCD.
Right. It's just like what we talked about before, where someone who changes sort of their some kind of part of their life changes, they become a parent, they get a job in a certain, that's different than the OCD worry kind of follows with wherever that value is in the moment. And it may be the relationship. It may be it started out with another form of OCD, and they kind of were able to work through that, and now they're in a relationship, and the OCD has been started to become about the right person. Is it what you were talking about? Is this aspect, this value enough? Is this right for me?
Mm-hmm.
And or like you were saying earlier, does this person, do they really like me? Do they really love me? Is it just, just influences? And there's no answer to the question.
No.
There's no certainty to the question is the problem. It's acceptance. It's being able to accept the uncertainty and, oh, okay, well, can I tolerate, someone that's got a feature that's not perfect to me?
Yes.
Is that important in the grand scheme of things? But the OCD person gets so focused on it, it becomes about everything. I got to make this right, or else somehow the relationship is not right.
We're not a good match. Is this the right person? Some people believe that there's only one right person.
So how do you tell whether or not it's just the typical, right match, which is okay, to look at analyze those things. Just can I tolerate, shoes being on the floor and things like that? No, okay, yeah, that's fine because of these other qualities. Or no, I can't tolerate someone who's not honest with me and those kinds of things. How do you distinguish the difference there between problematic worry and uncertainty and ability to accept that?
Well, so the quick answer to that would be go to pre-engagement counseling. And so that you have an opportunity to go through a pretty comprehensive list of things that you value and they're important to you, and you have an opportunity to talk with your partner probably in detail that you've never done before. Mundane things, even like, how will we have dinner together or breakfast? How will we fix meals? How will we celebrate holidays together? How do you like to be cared for when you're sick? I mean, the list goes on for pages, stuff that
Sure.
you would normally deal with unless you went to somebody that systematically does that with you. So that was an easy answer. But of course that doesn't fix the problem if you have relationship OCD. And that would be, to look at what are your values and how much time are you spending on this? Am I continually asking my partner, my future partner, how she or he feels?
Okay. So it's the repeated reassurance, repeated rumination.
That becomes, yeah. So you get this.
Maybe ignoring the 100 positive things that all fit pretty well.
Yes.
Get stuck on a couple of different aspects. Okay. Right. So it's being able to just separate that from, this is healthy to, we're getting too focused on this, that your brain's locked on this.
Right. So you've got, the compulsion would be the checking. You can do that by being indirect, or you can be direct. So it could be indirectly checking facial expressions, those kinds of things. And the obsessions part is how much time are you spending obsessing on this idea? You know, and I always say, look, if you're concerned that that might be an issue for you, check it out. You know, go to somebody that understands what OCD is and tell them what you're dealing with. It may be that you have more anxiety sensitivity than the average person, and it's not relationship OCD, but the reaction to intimate life is a little scary. So as you feel closer to that, your anxiety goes up, and you keep having to reduce your anxiety by checking or looking for some answer to your discomfort. So the treatment might be very similar for either of those issues, whether it's anxiety based on an anxiety disorder or it's relationship OCD.
Okay.
It's very disturbing, by the way, for people who aren't familiar with it. People that have relationship OCD, it is anxiety producing, it's distressing, so they feel torn. They love this person, or they think they love this person, and yet they have these doubts that they can't quite resolve, and they keep checking on, and so it takes over their mental life.
Yeah, and for the other person, it's this constant questioning of, you know, it's hard to enjoy a relationship when you're getting these questions and getting checked all the time.
Yes.
It's in the way.
Yes.
And it becomes personal, you know, like, why can't you just accept me? You know, you know, why are you worrying about that? You know, don't worry about that. You know, how many times have we heard people, you know, give that advice? You know, how do I do that?
Yeah, you shouldn't worry about this.
Shouldn't worry about that. So but it's happening. This is OCD. This is what OCD does. It worries. It overly focuses on something that's not helpful, and it's a brain trick. And it's important for the person that's on the other side of this to be able to understand that this is not. It wouldn't matter if, you know, Robert Redford in his heyday, right?
Yeah. Let's get the heyday in there.
Right. Right. Yeah, he's a little older now. God, he's just quite a bit older now. But anyway, just I couldn't think of a good. That's
one of your generation.
So anyway, so it wouldn't matter if it's the, you know, quote, perfect person. It's in their mind. It's a trick. It's and so understanding that and also understanding and having a dialogue back and forth about reassurance and having a plan of resisting providing reassurance by the partner, because
exactly.
The reassurance.
Talk more about that.
So the reassurance. So the person is checking to see, because they get anxious and they check, and the reassurance just reinforces the checking. It just provides temporary relief, and then the anxiety and the worry goes right back up. So it doesn't really help. And so talking about resisting that is important as a way to say, it's not that I don't care. It's not that I'm annoyed with you, even though they may really be. This is not the reason. It's because if I give you reassurance, if I say, yeah, I feel fine, I do, yes, I love you, that's not helping them. So resisting that is important, because the person with the relationship OCD or OCD of any kind needs to be able to learn how to tolerate that uncomfortable feeling without getting that short-term relief. That's how they habituate to that idea. But the reassurance just perpetuates the cycle and makes is stress-inducing more than relieving in the long run.
Right. So that's how OCD is maintained, is through uh, the reassurance seeking safety behaviors. And you and I give direct instruction to the partner along with the OCD uh, client or patient. When your loved one asks you for reassurance, your answer, my recommendation is that you would answer by saying, "That's a question that I'm not supposed to answer," and turn around and walk away quickly in silence.
That's right. Yep. I'm not supposed to answer that question.
And then the client sits with that discomfort and moves on and they try to move on and focus on some valued activity, something that matters. Because the answer to that question doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't change it.
No, it's coming again.
Yes.
It's coming again. And that's another way to distinguish what we were talking about with relationship, where you're going, not sure how you feel. You've been a little distant lately, we haven't talked about it in a while. You're still feeling good about a relationship. It's when the answer to the question doesn't satisfy it, that when it keeps coming up.
Well, if you really loved me, then you'd stay up later and talk to me longer.
Mm-hmm.
You would text me right back when you receive a text from me. I see you answering other people's texts very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But mine, I can send you a text and I might not hear from you for an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the reassurance then would be texting immediately, and then that's going to have to continue, because as soon as you don't, there's the proof. There it is. And so that's the problem with it, is that it becomes impossible. It's impossible to meet the demand.
Yes.
It's an obsessive, make me feel better right in the moment kind of idea that the brain is seeing as an emergency, when it's really not. It's an OCD trick, if you will.
And all of these things, or almost all of them, are based in some realistic form of self-preservation, self-protection.
Right.
I mean, clearly our relationships are a big deal. I mean, we put a high value on getting married and staying married.
Yeah, we need to be asking some of those questions about values and what you can and can't accept, and how does the person feel about me? But the problem is, and that's the same with really any OCD. Contamination is the same way. We need to wash our hands, try to avoid things that make us sick, those kinds of things. So all the OCD issues stem from some kind of, just like you said, self-preservation, upholding my values. That makes us happier when we're doing things that are consistent with our values. We have less anxiety. It's just exacerbated with OCD in any kind of form.
So you got any advice for people that think they might have relationship OCD?
Well, I would say that the first thing to do is to be able to kind of recognize how they, the feeling and the thoughts and the triggers that may happen, and how they respond, how they're seeking reassurance. And then maybe to be able to come up with a plan of resisting the asking, the checking, and be able to kind of come up with a hierarchy of ways to put themselves in positions where they're going to feel the anxiety, because that's part of OCD therapy. Is it goes against a lot of our conventional thinking, where you're trying to make people feel better. The idea is get that anxiety up. So maybe low levels of anxiety where the person doesn't text back, or whatever it is. If that's less bothersome for some person that may be high on it. So coming up with a hierarchy or a ladder of ways to do exposure and to resist the checking and the reassurance, but maybe one of the most important things, or right up there anyway, is being able to talk to your partner about it. That this is what this is. This is just happening to me. It's not a personal thing. Recognizing that it's not, it wouldn't matter who it is. This is just something that's going on in my brain that I need to work on.
And we could say, if you have a partner that can accept that, you found the right person.
That's a check on the box of okay, that's good.
Exactly. Yeah,
because it's difficult for the person to deal with. It's always having to be asked, those kinds of things. It can be exhausting,
Yes.
Even for a person who's all about comfort and care and support, even for someone who's really into that. It's just too big of a task. So so if somebody's able to accept that and work with you, that's a good step in, it's the possibility that this might be a healthy relationship.
Yes.
So there we go. I think we've covered some of those issues, how that can come up, and it's just really sort of amazing how OCD shows up in several different forms, and sometimes people don't even have that part of it, and it shows up later in life, and it really comes down to many times as where you are in life, whatever's important to you. If you've got anxiety or OCD, it's probably going to show up there.
Nice.
All right, well, we'll sign off for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please comment, subscribe, so that we get all the benefits of the high subscriptions. We're just inching up the ladder ever so slowly but surely.
Yes,
we really appreciate the listens, and any kind of comments about future topics, please put those in there. So for today, we'll sign off from Minding the Gap.
Thanks, Paul.